Morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new day. It is food pantry day. It's Thursday morning, 9:02. Temperature is a very chilly 41 degrees. It's more that damp chilliness. And so yeah, it's supposed to get up to like 48 today. But we'll see how warm that feels. I don't think it's gonna feel too warm, but anyway, so I'll chat with you on the way, and I was going to tell you the story about when I was in the military, and I came to drink quite a bit. So, and then I had an incident, and then I was kind of forced into doing something I didn't want to do. And so we'll talk about that. All right. Nonetheless, not much going on today, and I got the two pantries. So let's get started over there. Alrighty. Gray skies. It's actually supposed to rain later on. So we're supposed to have 48 today, and it's supposed to reach 50 something tomorrow, but then we head back down to the 30s. So winter just does not want to leave us. So I don't think I ever told you guys, it's so comical, it's so cute. So Gypsy's like, she's the one that disciplines Patches. And she disciplines Blackie, and you know, she doesn't dare touch Prissy, because Prissy don't take her shit. But anyway, you know, Blackie's old now, and he doesn't want to be bothered, he doesn't want to play, he just wants to eat, lay, and go to the bathroom. And Patches sometimes harasses Blackie. He'll go up to him and chase him, try to chase him and try to get him to play or whatever. And I think it's just because he's got so much energy, I think he's just trying to get Blackie to play with him. But Blackie doesn't want to. So, and Blackie in his age, he can barely see. He sees shadows, and so he hisses every time Patches comes up to him. So anytime Gypsy hears Blackie hiss, to her that's Patches is bothering him. So if he sees Patches going towards Blackie, Gypsy right away runs between them and disciplines Patches to leave Blackie alone. So Gypsy is the cutest thing. She will take her paw, her big old paw, lay it down on Patches on his side, and she'll drag him down on his side. she'll make him lay down. She'll literally drag him down to make him lay down. It is the cutest thing. And yeah, so she's become Blackie's protector, and so anytime Patches goes to harass Blackie, Gypsy jumps right up to go discipline him. It's so cute. And it's kind of funny because when we first got Gypsy, she used to harass Blackie all the time. Not more like get him again, like Patches. Gypsy used to get Blackie to play with her when we first got her, and Blackie didn't want to. So she was always like antagonizing Blackie and just wouldn't leave him alone. And we used to put her on timeout anytime she used to harass Blackie, and it worked. worked because she eventually stopped bugging him, stopped bothering him. But she never did that to Prissy, because Prissy would chase her down. Prissy would absolutely chase Gypsy down to a corner, and Gypsy was afraid of her. But yeah, and it's just kind of funny that Gypsy went from, you know, a few years ago harassing Blackie to becoming his protector. So we think that's just like the cutest thing. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys because it's so cute. And then when we tell her good girl for protecting Blackie. She knows I keep treats in my pocket. So as soon as I say good girl, she runs to me and looks at my pocket. So now, the story. So I joined the military after high school, but it took me a year to go to boot camp because they found a heart murmur. They found that I had a heart murmur, so I had to go through testing and all that. But nonetheless, I was 19, I think, when I went to boot camp. So I get to my first duty station after boot camp. My first duty station was called Naval Air Facility, San Clemente Island. And it's, for those of you that live in Southern California, it's part of the Channel Islands. You have Catalina Island, which is a resort island, and I think there's a total of 5 Channel Islands. But San Clemente Island is one of those included in the Channel Islands. But it's very, it's not resort, that's for sure. So that's a Navy base, and that was my first duty station. And we actually had to stay there during the week. It was like a small town community. There wasn't many people there. And so anyway, I'm stationed there. On the weekends, we actually got flown into shore, and we had liberty on the weekends. But during the week, we stayed on the island. But on the island, in one building, we had a theater, a little convenience store, a weight room, and a club. I guess you can call it a bar that serves food. That was all in one building. That's how small this place was. And when I got there, you know, I got my roommate and work and everything. And, you know, time goes on, and, you know, you're making friends and you're hanging out, and you begin to party. And I did. When I was growing up, my parents were very strict on me. They did not let me do a lot of things like going out or anything like that. And I don't fault them for that, because maybe I wouldn't have grown up the way I did if they hadn't been like that with me. So, you know, I went to a couple parties because I played softball, and we had a party. Everybody slept there overnight because, you know, they didn't want anybody leaving in case you drank. But just know that I grew up with a strict upbringing, and when I got into the military, you get exposed to other things. And I was like a animal let out of a cage once I got out there. So yeah, I began to, you know, go to the parties on the island and go to clubs on shore. our shoreline where we got flown into Liberty on the weekends. We had barracks at Naval Air Station North Island, which is in Coronado in San Diego County. But you know, I drank, and I drank more and more and more, and I got to a point where I drank, and we're talking beer. I never liked the taste of hard liquor, so I used to drink like screwdrivers. The hard liquor had to be in like a mixed drink or something. I just couldn't do hard liquor by itself. But beer, I drank a lot of beer and drank a lot of beer and more beer. And, you know, we had parties and everybody had a good time. Everybody drank, but I got to the point where I drank so much beer that a 12-pack, I wouldn't even get a buzz anymore. And it was just like drinking water, I guess. It didn't, it didn't even give me a buzz anymore. And so I came to drink a lot of beer in a short amount of time. And sometimes I would have like a screwdriver, like I said, if we're just sitting at the bar. But I didn't really drink a whole lot of mixed drinks or anything like that. So I used to party, and and I'm talking people with that I was stationed with. So we were just all a close-knit group, and we just partied. But we did our work, and so a few years into me drinking, there was this one night I was drinking, and when liquor or beer or whatever gets in your system, along with emotional feelings and anger and things like that, I always had this person that I would always try to get in my head and try to get me to go to like counseling and things like that. And so she always made me mad. She always pissed me off. But one night I drank, and we were done with our partying for the night, so we all went to our rooms. And at the time, I don't think I had a roommate, so I was just in the room by myself. And I'm pretty sure I was probably drunk. Not like drunk out of it, but tipsy or whatever. But that night, that day, that person really got to me, and I was really pissed off that day. And that night, while I was drinking, I was thinking about it, and that doesn't mix well. So after we were done with our drinking, and we all went back to our rooms, and I'm standing there looking in the mirror, and I'm angry at this point, and I let myself be that way. So I'm looking at the mirror, and I'm angry, and I take my fist and I put it through the mirror. So I put my fist through a mirror, and it cut my hand a little bit, not too bad. But I did end up with a fracture from my hand to all the way up my arm. So I ended up being in a cast for like 2 or 3 months. So, of course, in the military, when you have an alcohol-related incident, they label you as an alcohol. And I say to this day, I was not an alcohol because I didn't always drink. I didn't have to drink. There were days I didn't feel like drinking. And like, after work, me and my roommate, when I was in a different room, we'd say, let's just go get some hamburgers and watch a movie or whatever. So, there were nights that we went to the bar and just got food and ate and went back to the room and did nothing. So I didn't need it, but there were times, that I just drank because we were all drinking and having a party or whatever. But like I said, in the military, you're deemed an alcoholic if you have an alcohol-related incident. And because security had to get involved, and I had to, go to medical, and so now my chief calls me to his office, and he starts giving me the alcoholic spiel, and if you want a beer, just let me know. I'll let you come and drink one. And it's just like, whatever, because he was just nothing but a bullshitter anyway. I didn't trust him for anything. So now I have to go through, I forget what they called it back then, some kind of services, and now they're telling me I have to go to AA meetings, and if I don't, then I'll be written up and reprimanded. So I'm forced to go to these AA meetings, and they're on the island, so I have to go while I'm on the island during the week while I'm on there. And so I go to these meetings, and at this point, because they're forcing me to go, I'm rebelling. And everybody's in there, and it wasn't just for alcoholics, it was for everybody. It was more like a counseling session. And so I go to the meetings, and one of my first meetings, I think it was my first meeting, I'm sitting there and everybody's talking, and I'm mad because I have to be there, and I don't agree that I should have to be there. But everybody went through their spiel and said their name and what their addiction is or whatever, and I was just there quiet. And then the person that runs the meeting says, it feels like you're on the outside trying to get in, but you don't know how to. And of course, rebellious me says, no, I'm on the inside trying to get out, and I don't know how to. So yeah, that didn't set a very good start for the meetings. So yeah, I'm here at the pantry, so I'll pick this up when I get out, and I'll get back with you guys in a bit. All right, everyone, so this is the pantry. It's a church, but there's a robin up in the trees. There's robins all over now. Can you hear that? He's singing like crazy. So peaceful. All right, everyone, so I am done in the pantry, and so I'll continue on with my story. All right, so I again, I went to this meeting. I said what I said, I said I'm on the inside trying to get out, and they took that as very I don't know, like I'm fighting it, defiant, I guess. And so they reported it back to my chief, and then my chief calls me in again, and they make me go to counseling. So I had to go through like 2 months worth of counseling, twice a week, and that made me even angrier. But my chief tells me, you just can't say that. He tells me I have to go with the program. And in my mind, he said it'll go much easier if you just go with the program. But in my mind, in my young 21-year-old mind at the time, I'm thinking I shouldn't even be here at these meetings. So I go to my meetings and I do the pretend thing, like, okay, I'm here and I'll go with the program, I guess. Because the more I defy this, the more I spend time in my chief's office. And I definitely didn't want that. So yeah, I went through 2 months of, I still had to go to my AA meetings though. So now I'm at 3 meetings a week. And but I went with the program against my better judgment. And that made me mad that I actually was just going with the program, because I wanted to say I shouldn't be here. But as far as my drinking, after that incident, I could not drink anymore. My body totally shut down to any alcohol. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the calling. But not only couldn't I drink anymore, I didn't feel like drinking anymore. I just didn't want it. People were asking me, the people I usually partied with or, went out to the club with or whatever, they're all like, all right, let's go to the bar or whatever, the club. And I don't want to. And it's not that because I got in trouble, it's because I literally really didn't want to, because I didn't feel like drinking. And when I did, I actually tried to drink again after that. One time I gave in and said, all right, let's go. And I drank a beer and my body literally was sick. And I never, before this, never had one time I had a hangover. But any other time, I never got hangovers. Never. Until after this incident. Where one time I did drink, I think it was after this incident. Or maybe it was before, because I really didn't drink anymore after this. But one time I had a hangover because I drank heavily. And I was literally out of it. But other than that time, I never had a hangover. But nonetheless, I tried, when I went to the club with, this person who wanted me to go, I drank a beer and my body was literally just getting sick. Like, my body would not take it anymore. And I don't know if it's because I drank so much. I don't know if it did something to me or what, but I just didn't have it in me to want to drink anymore, and my body literally wouldn't let me drink anymore. So by the rightful age of 22, I had to quit drinking. I was done drinking by the time I was 22. Did I drink anymore after that? On occasion, on very slight occasion. And even at that, I didn't hardly drink anymore. All right. right, so I'm not sure what the moral of the story is, but just to tell you about my early days in the military. And so yeah, I quit drinking by the time I was 22, but over time I may have, just had a drink here and there, but nothing like it was. And any time I did, it was just like one. But and to this day, I still say I was not an alcoholic. I didn't have to have it, because there's days that I didn't want it and I didn't drink. But that's just how the way they handled things in the military at that time. And that was 1986 or 7 or something like that. I think it was 1986. So yeah, I did all my drinking within a few years and then quit by the time I was 22. And to this day, I can't stand the taste of beer. Drinking is just not in our lives. Neither Glenn or I drink. When I first got here, we went on a date to a Mexican place. It was called Tejano's, and it was like a Mexican buffet. And we actually had a drink. Now, one of my drinks in my early years was daiquiris and margaritas. Those are the two mixed drinks that I did like. So when I got here and we went on our date, I ordered a margarita and Glenn ordered a old fashioned. That was his drink of choice. But I couldn't even finish my margarita. I took a couple of sips and I was buzzed. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. Yeah, I asked Glenn if he wanted my margarita too. So he drank his drink and my drink. So yeah, drinking in my early days, quitting drinking in my early days, and not wanting it in my older days. But I had a good time when it was happening. The parties we went to, there was like 2 cabins on the island that people could rent for bringing their families on the island for like a weekend or something. And we partied at that cabin. We partied at one of those cabins. And it's not to say I didn't have a good time. I had a great time. Long-lasting memories. But I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Tell you a little bit more about myself. That I was a drinker and stopped being a drinker by the time I was 22. Yeah, it was crazy. But I had a lot of good times in the military. Not all with drinking, of course. Met a lot of good people, made a lot of friends, and you lose touch over time, and that's just the way it is. So, I'm heading home now. I hope you enjoyed that story. Maybe got a little chuckle out of it. Yeah, no one was about to tell me that I'm an alcoholic. And I rebelled. Yes, I was a rebellious one. There are other stories about my drinking back then. There was a night that at the airfield, because I work in the airfield, I worked in ground aviation, and there was the terminal where people, it's an air terminal. But one night, this was before I quit drinking. All right, guys, I don't know what happened there, but my recorder shut off, so I lost some time there. But anyway, this story, I'll just give you a quick version of it. About 5 of us people were having a party at the air terminal, and we needed more beer, and this was still on the island. And up at the barracks, they sold beer in vending machines. So we were at the air terminal. We needed more beer, so we take the keys to one of the flatbed trucks, and we drive the flatbed to the barracks, and we go get beer out of the vending machine, and come back to the terminal and have our party. And we got so much beer that we partied all night at the air terminal. And mind you, there's ops the next day. So we wake up super early, just as people were starting to come in. And I quickly head over to the other building where I worked. And yeah, that was a crazy night. Oh my gosh. We borrowed the flatbed. We put it back. We were good. But yeah, so that was a quick version of that story. There are more, but like the time we stole, or we were having a bonfire, and there was pilots there of the helicopter, and while they were at the bonfire, we snuck to their rooms and took their tequila. But all in good fun. But all right, and for those of you that were in the military or had husbands or wives in the military, you know what I'm talking about. The fun you had. All right, folks, so we'll see you guys at the hall. All right, everyone, so we have this morning food pantry haul to show you, so let's get right into it. All right, so first thing is I picked up 2 more cans of the Star-Kissed albacore tuna in water. So that adds to our stuff. And then I picked up 1 cream of mushroom and 1 cream of chicken. The cream of chicken is unsalted. I didn't see that, but it's no big deal. It's just going to go in some type of casserole anyway. And then also picked up 2 cans of Libby sweet corn and Jiffy creamy peanut butter. And we got this box of cereal. It's from Christmas. It's the family size Christmas Crunch. So it's like the Captain Crunch or Crunch Berries, but in Christmas form. So, and then we also Gypsy. No. All right, so we also got this tube of, it's a 1-pound tube of the pork Italian sausage. If you recall, we got this a couple weeks ago, and I used half of it for that $1 million spaghetti casserole. I used half ground beef and half of this sausage, so I picked up another one. And then we got these breakfast sausage links. And for the other meat, we got pork. There's 2 country-style ribs in there. So that's our other meat. And then the last thing is we got these snacks. They're Welch's Fruitfuls. And it's a fruit snack, a fruit strip. It's mango peach. And it's just, we tried one. We got 4 of them. We already opened one, and I gave the other ones to Glenn. It's just a strip that long of the fruit snack, and it's fairly thick. It's not like your normal fruit roll-up. It's fairly thick, so when you bite into it, it's really tough to pull apart. But Glenn said he'll eat them. I didn't really care for the taste, and I didn't like that they were so thick that I had a hard time biting it apart. So, all right, but we got those, and I'll give this one to Glenn as well. All right, so that is the morning. Did I mention the brat rolls? I don't remember if I did, but we got some brat buns. And that is the morning food pantry haul. And I'll be going to the other one later this afternoon. And I'll have that haul for you either tonight or tomorrow. So I won't promise another video tonight. I'm going to try. But if it's not tonight, it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, probably. Alrighty, so we'll see what happens. And other than that, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. And with that, remember to live life, be good to yourself, and be good to others. Until next time.